Anna, you have been on many invitationals, so I consider you a seasoned professional in the invitational space. Tell me about some of the journey and the invitationals you've been on recently.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I actually started on ENYO. I was on ENYO 3 back in the day. Yeah, it was my first one, and I just enjoyed the hell out of it. And yeah, from then I've just been really drawn to sub-only matches. I think sometimes I find it's a more interesting way to sort of express and grow your jiu-jitsu as opposed to the point system. Don't get me wrong, I think tournaments are really great and a really great place to sort of show off your skills, but sub-only is just so exciting, especially when maybe if you're trying to work some subs that aren't on your level yet. So if you're going for more like leg entanglement stuff, it's a great opportunity to explore that. And also the length of the fights I find really help. I feel like sometimes in tournaments my jiu-jitsu starts getting good around the 4.5 minute mark. So in a 6 or 5 minute match, that's not really great. But in a 10 or 8 minute match, it's nice to be able to sort of sit back and take your time. And it's also really nice to have like a specific goal to work towards. So, you've got this one match where, you develop a game plan, you get all the tickets, you get all the hype. So yeah, I've just been really motivated by the sub-onlys, I think.
I'm very excited to hear a bit more about ENYO 3, but we will get there in a moment. It's really great to be able to chat with you for the ENYO Submission Only Jiu-Jitsu podcast and the E007 event at Central Hall in Southampton on Saturday, the 7th of June. Go and get your tickets if you haven't already. And if you listen to this after the event, get yourself to the very next ENYO event. The episode is sponsored by Jiu Jitsu Lou Podcast, one of the other Jiu Jitsu podcasts that I host. My aim is really to get more people listening and watching to great jiu-jitsu podcasts. One of the things that I really want to kind of emphasize is allowing everyone to have a voice. Whether you're a kind of high-profile competitor or professional athlete, or whether you are just training and starting out your career, for me, it's really important to share all of those voices because we all make up the great community that is the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community. Go and check out all of the sponsors for ENYO7 in the show notes. So Anna, tell me about ENYO 3. I kind of missed that note.
Honestly, it feels like so long ago now, but it must only be like, I don't know, 1 or 2 years ago, maybe like probably a year and a half ago. It was my first sub-only event. I'd gone down to Southampton a few times for the women's open mats, and it was still relatively new at the time, ENYO. And I mean, I was horribly nervous, as I think everyone is in the run-up to a competition. But I had a good team supporting me, which was really nice. And I I was against someone who I had fought not that long before that fight in sort of like a tournament style, and she had won that. And so I think that sort of really fueled my nerves, but also, I guess, motivation to show a little bit of a different kind of style, I guess. Something quite funny as well is that we have the same name, and because there was no sub and there's no points or anything, so I wasn't entirely sure at the time who had won. And of course they said Anna because we're both Anna. So in the video there's a bit of a few seconds delay in me realizing that I'd won.
So yeah, amazing. So how did that feel, winning and not knowing throughout the match that you had actually won that particular invitational match?
I mean, obviously winning felt incredible. And I know this probably won't be the same for a lot of people, but for me, I found it really helpful not really focusing on like, this made me sound like a terrible athlete, not focusing on points and the scoreboard the whole time. It was a lot more freeing to just focus on the flow of my moves. And you know intrinsically if you have a dominant position, if you have a sweep, if you have a pass, those are obviously good things. But sometimes in a tournament, I can get very distracted almost by the scoreboard. So it was really nice in that to just be like, there's only one thing to focus on. You just have to go.
Good. I like hearing that, because not focusing on the scoreboard as the match is progressing and still focusing on your game, being incredibly focused and still winning. So I have a different problem. I have to wear spectacles, glasses, so that I can see kind of medium to long distance. So when I was competing in Barcelona, I had no idea what the scoreboard was saying throughout the whole of the match. It kind of comes with age, so I couldn't see, which was the frustration. So, so my attention was taken away. But it sounds like not being able to see the scoreboard as you go through has its benefits.
Yeah, definitely. I feel for you with that. I know there's a lot of people in training who you just see glasses at the edge of the mat so that obviously they don't get broken.
Yeah. I often don't know who is approaching me for a sparring session, and then I've said yes before I've realised who it is. Not that I would turn
Oh.
down a session.
Well, hey, it's a great excuse to cop out of a role.
Yeah, but
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. I don't have my glasses on.
I've already committed at that point, Anna. I'm done for.
Yeah.
So ENYO7 winning, ENYO3 winning that, having kind of come through the a previous loss with that same competitor and having all those nerves. How did you deal with the nerves? Because I know there are a lot of young upcoming athletes on ENYO7 that might be feeling quite nervous. This is their first invitational, or they might be feeling very confident. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, so this is something that I've really struggled with a lot, and something that I think a lot of students can probably relate to. So I used to get horrible, horrible exam nerves, and it's the same nerves that you get while competing. And this is going to sound so just like duh, but I had a real epiphany while I was in a tournament where I was just on the mats and I was really, really nervous, and then I started rolling. And then I just sort of suddenly said to myself, it's not that deep. And I know it's not always as easy as that, but I
Yeah,
sort of realized this isn't an exam that, my entire future is based on. And this isn't like the UFC. This isn't some grand final. This is a hobby that I enjoy, that I love. I do it for the love of it. So I need to just sort of remember that and really take that to heart. And almost, it helps me to imagine that I'm in my home gym as well, that there
yeah.
isn't loads going on around and it's just me and the mats and my opponent. So yeah, I think the amount of times in the last few years that I've said it's just not that deep, I think I need to get that tattooed on my forehead, because
So
it's just not that deep.
that's what you're known for. That's good. I mean, you're known for your exceptional jiu-jitsu as well, but
Oh.
a mindset of not taking it too seriously, maybe not kind of imagining that it's the biggest thing in the world, whilst it might feel like it in that moment. It very much is a moment, and if you're an adult, it's only 10 minutes. And maybe you can achieve a lot in 10 minutes, maybe you don't achieve a lot in 10 minutes, but it
Mm.
is only 10 minutes. And for the younger competitors, it's even less. And certainly for me as a blue belt, it's only 6 minutes, so I'm winning.
Yeah. I mean, if you're someone that's motivated by that, then lean into it. Like if you're motivated by,
Yeah,
this is the biggest thing, and if you do well under pressure, then really just lean into what I guess your body's telling you to do. For me,
yeah,
I am the opposite. It throws me off. It makes me sort of lose my game. So for
yeah.
me, I know that personally, I have to sort of recenter myself by saying, actually, I do this for the love of it, not for the medals and the trophies.
Yeah, I love it. It's also very much about the process that you're gathering the experience throughout these number of matches. Now,
Definitely.
being a seasoned professional in the invitational world, Anna, um, how have you kind of built up your resilience, your growth over the time of doing sub onlys?
That's a good question.
Because you're coming out winning. So what's changed from that kind of ENYO 3 to now approaching ENYO 7?
Something that I've definitely learned, and probably way too late on the curve of this, and this is not news to anybody, but make a game plan and have a sort of, not even really a specialism, but make sure that I think trying to be a bit of a jack of all trades in jiu-jitsu isn't necessarily always effective, especially if you're competing. I think when you're competing, you really want to have, you want to be thinking as little as possible. You want it to be sort of drummed into your body. You know what you're going to do, and you're going to, act first and make sure that there isn't any, oh, I guess I'm in half guard. What should I do from here? And it's really helped me really focus my jiu-jitsu. So maybe I'll go into class and having done a bunch of research on, I don't know, butterfly guard or something like that, and then test it out and keep at it. I think it's really, I find it very difficult to stay focused just like in life. I'm a very scatterbrained person, but sub-onlys have really helped me like hone in like what a specific game plan should be, which has been really useful.
Nice. It does sound like a great technique. I've recently spoken to someone on a podcast about having their kind of A game. And actually, even if the beginning part of the match doesn't go their way, they still start and get to that first position on their A game, and then work their plan. And whilst that may have come into my thought process, it very much is much more of a kind of solidified mindset and goal for all of my matches now. I don't always manage to have an A game for each one, but I feel like the more that we're all training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the easier it is to build up our own game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the beauty of Jiu-Jitsu, it's so unique, and I guess a lot of martial arts are very unique in the way that there's usually sort of 2 or even more like win conditions. So even if you're really down on points, then it can still turn around, that it doesn't really happen in, I don't know, football or basketball or something. If you're down on points, that's kind of it. But in jiu-jitsu, you never know. You could be 12 points up and then suddenly get rear naked choked. So it's always interesting.
That is a crying shame when that happens. I've got 2 young children, and they often sneak up with a rear naked choke. But thankfully, I'm a blue belt and I know how to defend it.
Good.
This is the ENYO Submission Only Jiu-Jitsu podcast with me, Lou Temlett, talking with all of the upcoming ENYO 7 competitors and sponsors. One of the things that would really help this show grow is by you subscribing or whatever, on whichever platform you're on. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music. If you could do that for me right now, I would be forever grateful. And as always, go and check out the clips on YouTube and Instagram at ENYO Grappling. Today, I'm having a conversation with Anna Menikou. Thank you so much for joining me, Anna. Are you known for any specific submission?
Am I known for any specific submission? Something terrible comes to mind. Where
is it a leg lock, Anna?
It's not a leg lock, and I will defend this to my dying breath. As soon as I got my blue belt, for the first month, no one did anything but wrist lock me. From then, it's just been the warpath. If you roll with me, I will probably try and wrist lock you, probably from a position that shouldn't really facilitate a wrist lock, but I stand by it. It's a legit technique. Argue with the wall.
Okay, I am speechless because, I've rolled with a number of high-level jiu-jitsu athletes, and if the wrist lock's there, they're going for it. So good luck to everyone that is blue belt and beyond. Bad luck to the rest of us. Okay, so talk to me about some of your highlights over the last few years with super fights and people you've connected with on the jiu-jitsu scene.
Oh, I've done a handful of super fights over the last year or so. I've got a few coming up as well. some that comes to mind, the last few Valhalla ones that I've done have been up in Manchester, and I'm from the south, so traveling up to Manchester, usually by myself. I love it. It's a great place, but it's daunting to be by yourself, um, especially when you're competing. You don't really have loads of people in your corner or cheering for you, especially if your opponent does. But it's been really nice to realize that I actually know quite a few people just through jiu-jitsu. So I met up with Shane Curtis, who I used to roll with at Nottingham MMA. I used to train there, and Chanel O'Brien, who I fought 2 Valhallas ago. We've just like had a natter, had a chit chat every time we sat down together, and yeah, just really lovely people, and it's nice to know that yes, I'll go up there alone, but I'm not on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been really lovely.
Good. And before we started recording, you've met John Danaher and various others. Talk to me about what you've learnt in that time.
Oh my God. Yeah, I went to Austin a few years ago, and I went to a class with John Danaher, and it was crazy that just the amount of just gold that came out. I wanted to write it all down. And I think with jiu-jitsu, a lot of what you need to learn isn't this sounds super, philosophical, but it's not the step by step, but it's the sort of the gray area movements and the overarching philosophies. And I think in seminars that I've been to, like John Danaher's, and I went to a Hoist Gracie seminar as well. They got across the overarching why are we doing this movement? Why am I shifting my weight here? Just so it's not like step 1, step 2, but it's got a purpose and it's meaningful.
Nice. I love that. It's such a fantastic experience. And, if we can get to attend any of these seminars, it's always great to learn those things. We all enjoy training with our coaches and learning techniques. And it is always kind of another level if we're learning kind of I like the why, but actually, I think that, like you say, underpins the reason for all of it, because then you can put into your mind, just the understanding behind everything, and it feels like it means so much more, because as we all know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not a superficial game. We are going in for it, and we're all involved, because it's quite an addiction, really. I know a lot of us train at lots of different clubs, go to lots of open mats, and just have probably more than 10 rash guards. Anna, how do you kind of value open mats and women's only spaces?
I love a good women's only open mat. I think something that kind of makes me quite emotional is when you show up and there's just so many. I've been to loads before where there's 30, 40, 50, just huge like classes full of women, and first of all you think, where have these women been? Where are they? Yep. But then I don't know, I sort of look and I think, these are people that I've been looking up to. These are people that might be looking up to me, and these are sort of peers that are very much in my space. Something that annoys me to no end is, and Molly Lindsay put it very well. She said, "Women aren't just small men," which that I want tattooed on my forehead. Something that really annoys me is this idea that training with men will make you better at jiu-jitsu and will make you better for when the competition for women comes. And I've had a lot of guys say to me, "Oh, you must be really like fit for competition because you train with all these guys." And I actually think it's kind of the opposite, because I don't get the practice to train on the women that I'm fighting. When I did my first ever competition, I had never rolled with a woman before. How nuts is that? And I think rolling with a guy who's bigger and stronger, and you're constantly being told that they're bigger and stronger, it makes you defensive. I think it makes you play differently. It makes you play defensively because you think, well, plan A that people would normally do won't work for me because I've always been told that I'm smaller and weaker. So I've got to do all these other things. And then by the time you roll with a woman, or by the time you go up in the belts, you don't have that plan A that all the guys have been learning.
Yeah.
So it's really nice going to women's open mat and just rolling and seeing how you would fare in a competition. It just, I don't know, it feels like home.
Good. I'm pleased you said that. And it was wonderful to meet you. I spotted you with your common ground rash guard on at the ENYO Foundation Women's Open Mat. And next time we will roll, Anna.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm hiding the wrists. I'm a blue belt too. Well, no. What? Forgive me. What rank are you?
Purple.
You're a purple. Okay, I'm bowing down to the purple, but I'm still hiding my wrists.
Hey, you can wrist lock me back. It works both ways.
Yeah, I have to find them first. How excited are you about the E007 event?
I'm so excited. It's always a great event. It's always just really fun to have loads of people that you love, that you know, and everyone's supporting each other. It's always good energy. And it's about the jiu-jitsu as well. You know, it's about it, of course, it's about raising women in the sport and raising their voices, but it's not just about that. You know, we're not just defined by being women. It's also very much they're really exciting, compelling matches to watch. That it's great jiu-jitsu. It's legitimate, amazing jiu-jitsu. So it's inspiring. It's amazing. It's everything.
Fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to seeing everyone on that mat and just watching everyone's performance, because when I was at ENYO6, you've heard me say this before, I was so fired up, I wanted to be on there as well. But I will hold that fire for my training sessions. What are you doing in preparation for ENYO7?
Honestly, the same as every sub-only match. It's refining a game plan. It's eating well. It's exercising a lot. But it's also making sure that mentally I'm not in a place where I lose the love of it or I get frustrated. And if that is the case, then I'll take a day rest. I'll take maybe even more. It's mental preparation as well as physical.
Good. Now, whilst you're competing, I've spoken with the previous guest, Taya Jones, and she wants everyone hyping her up and kind of cheering even during the match. Now, is that a comfortable kind of situation for you, or do you like the silence of a kind of an invitational space?
The silence is a bit rough, I won't lie, because especially if you just hear the breathing and sometimes they're not breathing. But I think I like just a good a level of chatter, you know, when sometimes maybe if there's like sudden noise or whooping or whatever, I said I'm a very distractible person, so I'll probably look up and then get guillotined.
or wrist locked.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, Anna, we are going to keep a kind of gentle level of chit chatter and no loud noises. So I think that, I am so looking forward to seeing you competing and just coming with your A game on the 7th of June. It's going to be a fantastic event, and of course there is now an announcement of the open mat in the morning.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
I cannot wait. I'm coming down early, so if my poorly rib heals, I will be on the mats. Avoiding wrist locks. Anna, I'll stop talking about wrist locks now. Thank you so much. How can people follow your journey if they're not already?
Yep, I'm on Instagram, Anna Menikou, BJJ. And yeah, that's pretty much where I post everything, stories, reels, and that's pretty much it.
Amazing. Well, wishing you all the luck, and go and get fired up and go and do some subs.
Yeah, thank you. I will do some subs.
Sorry, I'm not experienced in this language.
No, I love that. I'm going to do a sub.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell your friends about this show. Go and buy tickets for the ENYO event. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the ENYO Submission Only Jiu Jitsu Podcast.